or good evening, magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. So I will be your host for tonight. My name is Klarence and welcome to our virtual coffee house chat, episode 8, brought to you by CC Recruitment. I know you guys miss us because it's been, I think, 2 weeks before we had the actual virtual coffee house again. And we would like to welcome you again. And we would like to acknowledge the presence of Warrick and one of our licensed immigration advisor, Min Marshall. Hi, guys. How are you?
Hi, Clarence.
Hi.
Hi, Clarence.
And also, we would like to acknowledge the presence of the candidates jumping in and also all the clients. Hi, guys. Please make sure to grab a coffee, like the drill, and also invite your friends to jump in and join with us tonight because we're going to hear some important updates from the immigration, including the stand-down period, the ability to bring in the family members of lower paid foreign workers, short-term variation of conditions under COVID-19, and also engagement of licensed immigration advisors. And first of all, guys, we would like to greet the Philippines Happy Independence Day. Sa mga kabayan natin sa Pilipinas, maligayang araw ng kalayaan, Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao, sa panig ng mundo, saludo kami sa inyo. Happy Independence Day. And also for those candidates who are trapped in the Philippines, I know it's really hard for you guys to adjust, but we would love to welcome you once everything is back to normal. And yeah, shout out to all the people who are jumping in. If you have any questions, feel free to chat and we will try our best to get you back with the answers. And yeah, just checking the people who are jumping in. Hi, Warrick, how are you? How's coping up with the level 1 COVID?
Yeah, we're still finding challenges, but day by day, I think things are getting a little bit clearer. You can see a lot of businesses changing over the last sort of week, especially as we've come into level 1. So good to see things like sport and kids sport getting back into business again. So yeah, things are starting to get back to normality, which is good.
Yeah, and also we would like to give shout outs to all the candidates and clients that we visit last time in Taranaki. It's really a good time, really enjoy that time, having a catch up and, having a good time with you guys, giving some beanies and wines. And hopefully we will visit some of the areas as well in New Zealand, including Rotorua, in South Island, if everything's back to normal. And we will love to visit you guys. And also, I would like to give the floor to Warrick to give some immigration and other updates in our side as well. Warrick, please take over.
All right, thanks, Clarence. And yeah, hello, everyone. Welcome to another Coffee House Chat live from CCR. Tonight, we've got Min Marshall joining us once again to give some further immigration-specific updates. And I just want to share with you a few updates that we've seen occur over the last week or two, mainly for employers, but yeah, just for everyone's knowledge to help keep people updated on what we're seeing. So right now, the biggest question is when borders are going to reopen. And from our perspective, it seems still unclear as to a time or a date or when that could possibly occur. And so New Zealand as a country has limitations in the ability for us to quarantine arrivals to New Zealand. So the current capacity, as we understand it, is New Zealand has the beds or the rooms, the capability to quarantine up to 3,200 people at any one time. And that's managed by the Ministry of Health. So given that we've reduced COVID in New Zealand to 0 cases, it's a really big risk for New Zealand to allow people to come into the country. And so the controlling of the quarantine needs to be really closely managed and controlled so that we don't risk another occurrence or another case of COVID occurring in New Zealand and spreading and then causing the country to go back into lockdown level 3 or 4 or worse. So I suppose right now the current capacity is 3,200. that's very closely managed and controlled, and that's the reason that we're limited in the amount of people that can come back to New Zealand at the moment. So if you look at 3,200 rooms or beds available, and you divide that by 14 days, which is the required quarantine period, then it's about 230 or just slightly less than 230 new arrivals every day is the capacity that we have as a country to offer quarantine facilities. So if you look at that a little bit closer, as I understand it, there's more than 10,000 Kiwis, more than 10,000 New Zealand citizens out there right now that are trying to get back to New Zealand because they've decided that for whatever reason, the countries that they're in are no longer safe and they want to return home. So there's 10,000 Kiwi citizens, and that doesn't include partners or children. That's 10,000 Kiwi citizens that are trying to get back to New Zealand. As we haven't had a case of COVID a new case for 21 days now, we're an attractive place for Kiwis to return to. So the Kiwi citizens are going to take priority over anyone else, and that includes work visa holders that are overseas currently. So Kiwis coming back to New Zealand are going to take priority at the moment. So I suppose looking at that, if we've got 10,000 Kiwis, that's at least 40 days of quarantine that'll just be taken up by Kiwis returning to New Zealand before the country is able to look at any other nationalities or any other people that rise up on the priority list. So there's further to that, like that we've seen in the news today and over the last couple of weeks. We've noticed that there's been some actors for films that have been able to enter New Zealand. We've also heard that there's going to be syndicate members for the America's Cup yacht racing that are going to be able to enter back into New Zealand. And the reason for that is they become a priority because they add a significant economic value to New Zealand. So as a whole, those industries or those individuals that participate in that industry offer a lot of value to New Zealand. So they've been given a priority. So at the moment, we've seen these other groups prioritised and given ability to come back to New Zealand. And we've also heard that you're either going to fit into one of two categories to be able to gain an exemption to enter New Zealand while we still have the borders closed. And one of those categories is if you are a high value worker who contribute to projects of national or regional significance. So that's like a big building project that requires a specific person who's got a skill at a certain level to be able to contribute to that project so that it doesn't get delayed and it goes ahead with its planned rollout. The other category would be longer term workers that are earning twice the median salary. And so the median salary or the median hourly rate in immigration terms is $25.50 an hour. And based on a 40-hour week, that's $53,000 a year. So in order to gain an exception, you need to be twice the median salary, which is equivalent to about $106,000 annual salary. So it's really only those that are at sort of farm manager or contract milker or share milker level that in the dairy industry are going to have the ability to put a strong case or a strong argument to gain an exemption to come back to New Zealand in the current scenario. So really what I'm saying is until we see borders reopen or a change in the ability for New Zealand to offer additional quarantine services, we're really not expecting any change in the near future for New Zealand's ability to allow dairy farm workers that are stranded in other countries with a valid visa and a valid job to return to New Zealand. So it's a really tough pill to swallow, but I suppose as we move forward, we are expecting that things will change and things will develop, and we'll have some further news on that. But right at the moment, you can see that New Zealand as a country has to protect what we have achieved, and that's 0 cases of COVID eliminated from the country. The worst thing that could happen is if we went back into a period where we had to go into lockdown again and have a level 3 or a level 4 lockdown and affect the economy further. And you can see that our biggest risk to that happening is via our borders. So you can see and you can understand New Zealand's perspective about protecting what we have achieved, although it might be detrimental to those individuals that are stuck or stranded in other countries, hoping that they could return. So moving on from that, I just want to say, like, if you are lucky enough to be in New Zealand and have a valid work visa, I urge you to realise the significance of that in the current environment, and really be thankful for the job that you have and the employer that you have, and appreciate that and value it, because yeah, there's lots of people that would like to be in that situation right now. So just be thankful for what you've got, is my point tonight. So further to that, as a lot of you are aware, the shortage of skilled workers in New Zealand and in a lot of sectors, such as dairy, along with the increase in unemployment, is creating a challenge and an ongoing challenge for work visa applications. And the biggest thing that we will have to deal with in the near future is overcoming the labour market test. So I just want everyone to be aware that things are going to change in the labour market test, and we've been sort of talking about that for the last sort of few weeks in these updates, but we're not seeing a huge amount of change yet, but definitely over the next sort of 6 months, 3 to 6 months, we're going to see some changes in the labour market test, and the ability for employers to prove to immigration and satisfy the fact that there's no New Zealanders available for the work being offered. So that's going to be one of our ongoing challenges in the near future. So just to give you an update on how some current changes are going to affect employers in the near future. As we understand it, there's a couple of things that have not changed, and one of those is from, we believe, the 1st of July and maybe end of July. We're hearing a couple of different things there, but INZ has announced that in July the ANZCO requirement will be removed. So when that happens, it's going to come back to the median wage to determine whether someone is in a mid-skilled position or a lower skilled position. The median wage is currently set at $25.50, and generally that gets reviewed every year in November. So it's currently at $25.50. So what we're saying there is that if you're paid less than $25.50, you can only expect to gain a 1-year lower skilled visa. If you're paid more than $25.50, you will be able to achieve a 3-year mid-skilled visa. Additional to that, there's lots of questions floating around about the stand down period and whether that's going to be enforced. And as far as we're aware, that will be coming to an effect from August this year. So anyone coming up to the end of their 3rd lower skilled visa from generally September onwards will be either required to return home for a stand down period or gain a mid-skilled visa to be exempt from that requirement. So it's likely that, say, if you arrived in New Zealand in January 2018, if you attempt to gain another visa in the next sort of 6 months, you will only gain a visa until January 2021. So you won't get a 12-month visa, you might get a 3 or a 4-month visa until that date. So the only way to avoid that stand down period is to gain another visa, and likely a mid-skilled visa would achieve that. So yeah, we're still waiting on lots of applications we've currently got in process with Immigration New Zealand for herd manager mid-skilled visas, and we're waiting on the way that they're going to consider those applications. And I suppose the jury's still out a little bit on how those are being assessed. Tonight, I want to pass you on to Min, who's probably going to give you a bit more of an idea around the immigration decisions and the results that we've been seeing recently. So I won't hold up too much further and pass you on to Min for a bit more of an immigration update. So thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Warrick. Good evening, everyone. It's good to be back here tonight. Warrick has mentioned to you, has discussed stand down period. And so basically, if you are able to find a position that is higher than your current position, and if you are, subject to a stand down period, like in the next few months, you still have time to find either a mid-skilled position, so that in effect, if you want to stay in New Zealand for a longer period, you can apply for another essential skills visa. There was another thing that I when this policy was introduced in 3 years ago, I thought that after a 12-month stand-down period, that you would be able to come back to New Zealand if you have applied for application for an essential skills work visa for a mid-skilled position, that then you're able to come back. But actually, you can apply for another essential skills work visa for a lower skilled employment. So that's just clarifying that. And the next topic I want to talk to you about is the Family of Workers policy. Obviously, this is subject to the border opening again. This is the government reinstating the ability of workers, for workers who are being paid below the median wage, to bring their family members either on visitor or student visas. So that is meant to happen mid-2020. We haven't heard otherwise about this policy, so obviously it is status quo. And so the next thing I want to discuss are those people who have got a short-term variation of conditions to their visa. This is under COVID-19. This will expire, if you're holding that visa, this visa will expire at 11:59 p.m. on Wednesday, June the 24th. So by midnight of June 25, your visa will then revert to your original visa conditions. If you wish to continue on this position, on this role, you will need to apply for a new work visa or a substantive variation of condition, which is under the normal instructions as appropriate. And you must also meet immigration instructions. And by the way, those employers who wish to still apply for this short-term VOC or variation of conditions, this will close on the 18th of June. So it means giving your worker a week under that, under this VOC. Let's talk about the engagement of licensed immigration advisors. Those who need immigration advice, you need to make sure that the person giving you advice is licensed. The way to find out if the person giving you advice is licensed is you can check online, or you ask for their license to be shown to you. So I've got my one here, so it looks like this, all right? If you ask someone regarding immigration, and this is happening quite a lot because of the changes in policies, and I have heard from so many migrant workers who have been given advice by different people. So if they tell you to go to the INZ website or tell you information that are publicly available, that is not immigration advice as defined by the Act. If you ask someone to help you with your application form, with the information that you have given them, that is not immigration advice. But if they tell you what visa you qualify for or how best to answer questions on the application form, or tell you to add more information, write a cover letter on your behalf, or act as your representative, that is immigration advice. So licensed immigration advisors are required to be honest, professional, and respectful. They must you and the immigration advisor must enter into a written agreement. It will set out clearly what services they're going to provide, and how much it will cost. They must provide you with ongoing timely updates, because with policies changing continuously, licensed immigration advisors are informed before they are in place or implemented. They should also charge fees that are fair and reasonable. Immigration advisors or licensed immigration advisors can help you explore all your visa options and choose the right visa, prepare your visa application, help you settle in New Zealand, assess whether you can appeal a declined visa, and assess your options if you are in New Zealand unlawfully. Please note that if you want accurate information, ask an immigration advisor or go to the Immigration New Zealand website, because there are so many posts on social media that are inaccurate. If the information does not come from the government website, it may not be accurate. You must contact the Office of CCR should you wish to arrange an assessment with a licensed immigration advisor. Okay, so I'm happy to answer your questions later. Back to Klarence.
Thank you so much, Min and Warrick, for that informative discussion. So for those who have questions, just don't forget to comment on our Facebook Live, and we will try to answer. We're just gonna give shout out to all our viewers from Taiwan, Singapore, Saudi, USA, Australia, Canada, Philippines, and Saudi Arabia. I know you guys are all over the, are worldwide, and we will try to accommodate all your questions. And also, there are candidates who are asking for other options when they have this stand down period. We're just waiting for the candidates who are jumping in to have the question. We have one question here. Is there a possibility to apply for a new visa while there is still an application in process? What do you think, Min?
So repeat the question, please.
Is there a possibility to apply for a new visa while there is still an application in process?
Well, basically, if you apply for a new visa while there is an ongoing visa application, you basically change, you must let immigration know in the first place. So it would be helpful if you talk to your an immigration advisor, and they can facilitate it for you. Depends on what type of visa they're applying. So if you're working currently, waiting for a work visa application, for example, and you wish to study, you let immigration know that because it is actually a change, and if there's a change in your circumstances, there would be if you want to apply for a new visa, then you must let immigration know. Nothing will stop you from applying for another visa.
Just say that like if you've got one application with the current employer and you want to lodge another application with a new employer, it would be advisable to withdraw and lodge new, or change the details of your current application. I suppose you can't, as far as I know, you can't have two applications running at the same time. So yeah, I think it's a case of assessing the situation and probably seeking further advice on the specifics of your case before going forward.
Yeah, I just want to add, Klarence, that if you no longer has a visa and you are unlawful, you actually cannot apply for any types of visa. So you have to request to apply for a special visa. We call it Section 61. So if you are unlawful, you cannot apply for any type of visa.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. There's also one question, because there are lots of candidates who are asking us, the pastoral care team, that about the stand down period. So if the candidate is subject to a stand down period, what are the possible options you can get, give advice to them? And also, some of them are considering applying in Australia. Some of them are considering staying in the Philippines for a year. So what do you think is the best option for them to take? And so what can they consider?
So I'd say initially, if you plan to remain in New Zealand, then and you're going to be subject to the stand down period, and your employer is willing to support you, that would be the best, outcome, or the first approach to take would be to talk to your current employer about their ability to assist you to gain a mid-skilled visa in the job that you're currently doing. So, as we said earlier, there's a possibility to gain a mid-skilled visa if you're paid an hourly rate of $25.50 and above, which will be coming into place in July. So that's an option. And I suppose, if you want to remain here and that's your priority, then that's the first discussion I would be having. And then I suppose if that's not an option, there's potentially other employers in New Zealand that would be willing to offer you a position that allows you to gain a mid-skilled visa, and that would be the next best alternative. And then, I suppose if that's a consideration factor that you would rather remain working than to return back to your home country, then you've got to weigh up options like moving to another country, or gaining a different type of visa, maybe going onto a partnership or some other type of visa while remaining in New Zealand. Min might have a little bit more input to an answer for that question.
Yes, we keep referring to the skill level, right? Because as far as we know, the ANSCO will not be used after June 30. So basically, if you wish to apply for another visa, if you're subject to a stand-down period, is you look for a job that will pay you above the median wage, which Warrick has mentioned several times. So if you get paid $25.50 and above, then you can apply for it, which is you can apply for another essential skills work visa.
Okay, thanks for that, Min. Also, I would like to shout out all the farmers from the North Island to South Island of New Zealand, all the beekeepers, truck drivers, and carpenters. There's another question here. Just give me a minute. What type of visa can my family come in with the new changes? What do you think, Min?
Okay, if you are on if you get paid the lower wage, lower. If you're a lower paid migrant worker, you can bring your spouse, your partner, on a visitor visa. And if you have children below who are still at secondary school, they can apply for a student visa.
Okay, cool, thank you. I have a candidate previously who asked regarding his visa. He has a 3 years work to residence visa, and he has a family here. And then he's trying to apply to a different industry, which can give him a 1 year lower skill visa. Do you think it will affect his partner with the
Yes.
changes of the visa? So what do you think? Is he going to be sent back to the Philippines, the partner, or they might consider to give the visa? What do you say?
Well, obviously, if he's a holder, or he or she is a holder of a WTR or work to residence work visa, and then change into a lower skilled occupation, is that right? That's what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they must be. Those workers must be on that lower skilled visa for 3 years before the stand down period takes effect.
Yeah, because
That's right, Warrick, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, there are other from different industry like carpentry and scaffolding who get redundant and don't have the only short notice, and then they're messaging me that they have this WTR and they're planning to move to a different industry in farming. So I don't want to give them more expectations because they don't have experience in farming. So I'm opening the possibilities to them, and yeah, that's their biggest fear of losing the WTR and having the lower skill visa.
In those circumstances, if they've entered New Zealand and they've arrived as a carpenter, they're generally on a mid-skilled visa, and then they've gone on to a work to residence, and then they've potentially lost their jobs and considering going into dairy farming. if they took an entry-level dairy farm position, they would start probably on a lower skilled visa, but that would be the first lower skilled visa that they've had. The previous visas potentially have been either mid-skilled or work to residence visas and not classed as lower skilled.
Yeah.
They still will have 3 years worth of lower skilled visas before they may have to return home, and hope that by the end of their 3rd year they're at a mid-skilled level and they can achieve a mid-skilled visa and remain here in New Zealand. So yeah, anyone that's sort of considering or looking at their visas and thinking about the fact that they may have to return home under stand down, they should be looking at all of their previous visa copies and checking if they've got lower skilled mention on that visa. If not, then it doesn't count as one of their 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. There's another question here. Can an assistant farm manager with a 3 years visa apply for residency? What are the requirements?
Well, we need to see, we basically need to find out first exactly their history being in New Zealand as an essential skills worker. So we can't just say it on air what the requirements are, because situations, circumstances of different workers are as they're different. So maybe something is unique to them. So we need to find out first, you know, their circumstances. Yeah.
Residency application is very detailed and specific, and I suppose would need to have more sort of one-on-one details of that candidate to give specific information. So that's something that you could, feel free to make an appointment with us and come and have it, try and get a better understanding around how you would meet the requirements of residency in your current position.
Yeah. Cool, thank you. For those candidates who have the same questions, don't forget to message us, because you can arrange an appointment and we are open every day, Monday to Friday. So just let us know. There's another one here. For the farmers applying residence, how much is the score for IELTS?
Well, the application would come under skills migrant category. At the moment, the points required is 160. So that's where we basically start. But again, we need to assess them properly before we can give any advice. So the best thing for them to do is contact CC Recruitment, and we can go from there.
And just in terms of the IELTS, Min, is it 6.5 or higher that you have to pass to meet the requirements for residence?
Yes. Yeah. Unless they have done their study in New Zealand at level 7, and they've studied for 2 years. So yeah, we have to make a proper assessment before we give any advice, like informally.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I would like to give a shout out to our staff in the Philippines, Marina, Erica. Hi guys, thank you for the support. Warrick, what do you say for those who are the applications pending in the Philippines? What can you suggest to the application? Because they're still keep on applying, and we're still accepting the applications, but we are trying to tell them that the priority for now are the onshore applicants, but we make sure that we're also looking after them. What advice do you want to give to these candidates?
Yeah, we're really thoughtful of those candidates. It's been a long wait for many of you, and some of you actually had applications in process and jobs and visas in process that we've not been able to go much further with, apart from submit them to immigration. So an update for you guys. We are eagerly waiting changes to occur in terms of borders reopening and details of overseas officers processing certain documents that are required for visa applications, as well as airlines being capable of flying candidates to New Zealand, and obviously POEA officers opening to administer OEC documents to allow people to travel. So all of that is, yeah, a little bit up in the air at the moment, and not in any of our control. We can only really give updates as we see things change. And at the moment, with borders still remaining closed and airlines not flying, there's a lot of challenges to enable us to bring offshore candidates to New Zealand. So yeah, we're more than happy to gather your details and get you on file and prepared and ready, so that when we have an understanding of borders reopening, we can get interviews and have employers for you. But until we see some positive change on the border controls, then there's not a lot of point in us, you know, finding employers for you currently. So yeah, it's just a bit of a time frame, I suppose, in terms of us understanding when change will occur. And as soon as we know, we'll be surely reaching out to you and getting underway with the process to continue your application and hopefully find you employment in New Zealand. But it's just a patiently waiting scenario until then.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks for that, Warrick. There's another question here. If the issue of COVID-19 pandemic is still there by December this year, can my husband have a vacation in the Philippines, and can he still come back in New Zealand when his vacation ends? It's, yeah.
So yeah, that, like, an answer for that question is still really unknown. Like, I mean, we'd love to be able to tell people that yes, they can go home for their holidays, but at the moment it's highly unadvisable to be traveling out of New Zealand and then expecting that you're going to be able to return safely. Like, borders are closed. As I said earlier in my conversation, there's thousands of people waiting to come back into New Zealand, and if you left New Zealand now, firstly, it'd be very challenging to find a flight. Secondly, it would be extremely difficult to expect you're going to return to New Zealand and come back to your job that you've got. So until we have some further understanding of borders reopening and things changing, it's highly unadvisable not to travel out of New Zealand and take any risk about losing your employment. And yeah, we've noticed, and Klarence and Mark and the rest of the team will agree. We've had lots of visitors to the office in the last week or two. Once we reached a change in lockdown level, we've noticed that a lot of guys in New Zealand have been able to take their holidays and enjoy a bit of sightseeing around New Zealand rather than rushing off to the Philippines this year. And I know it's sad that you can't go home and see your families, but I mean, it's good that you've been able to enjoy a bit of New Zealand and not just you know, stuck in your place of work. You can come and see friends in other regions and have a look around and come visit us in the office. So yeah, it's been a pleasure to see smiling faces entering our doors again. And yeah, thanks to all of those of you that have taken the chance to drop in and say hello.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. It's actually frustrating on our part as well, because me, like Mark and Eric, we're also planning to get outside of New Zealand, but because of this lockdown, we don't want to take the risk. So it's not only you guys, we're also suffering from all this pandemic. So you're not alone, guys. We're also suffering the same thing, but it's fine. We are still grateful. We are in New Zealand. We have 0 cases. And we should be grateful that we have work and a source of income. And I just want to give advice again to Mayon family, Marquez family, and also Binolirao family. Thanks, guys. And Scott. Hi, Scott, Binolirao. And I think there's still questions here. Oh, for those who are in Hamilton, the night market is already open, officially open. You guys can visit, have some food, grab some drinks there. Just enjoy the rest of the night. And would you like to say some last words, Min or Warrick, for those who are? Yeah.
I just saw a question here.
Oh, yes?
It's from Rick Alistair Tolentino. He's saying that his visa was extended, and supposedly his visa was going to expire on the 19th of June. So he's got an extension until September 25. He just wanted an update. Well, basically, my advice would be that he shouldn't wait for his visa to expire on the 25th of September. He's lucky he's got this opportunity to take his time in making sure that his documents, his application will meet immigration instructions. So there's actually, if you're an essential skills work visa holder, Rick, I think you need to now start talking to your employer so that your position will be advertised, and, you know, get the labor market testing done. Give your employer sufficient time to be able to do that. And because now labor market testing, as Warrick has already mentioned, is being strengthened for essential skills work visa applications. So it's good that you're asking. You've got plenty of time, but not too much time really, because now we can imagine the work visa application sitting at Immigration New Zealand would have ballooned. So it's best to get cracking with your visa application.
Yeah, and I'd support that too. I mean, we've seen a few circumstances, and we're not going to say that this is going to be across the board on every scenario, but there's been some circumstances where we've had approved visas in the last few weeks for people that we submitted that gained the extension, and the start date of their new visa is from the end of the extension. So their new visa would start from the 25th of September 2020 until the 25th of September 2021. So I suppose immigration is looking at those cases and giving the benefit of the extension that's been given, as well as the term of the new visa. I can't say that that's going to be the case for every situation, because as we know, immigration can often be inconsistent, and some case officers will view an application differently to others. But I suppose it's a positive outcome to see that even though we've submitted applications early, they've still allowed for the period of the extension and added that to the term of the visa. So yeah, positive outcome in those scenarios, and we'd hope that that gets applied broadly across all applications we're submitting at the moment. But in general, I would not be holding off beginning a visa process if I had a visa expiring within the next 4 to 5 months. I would be getting underway with that process sooner rather than later. So yeah, that's our sort of recommendation. But yeah, just finally from me, I saw a couple of familiar faces on the board tonight, so thanks for tuning in, everybody. Cousin in Australia, I think my brother in Australia, and a mate, Jason Crane, that's just tuned in. So yeah, everybody, thanks for watching. Hopefully we've been informative tonight and given you a bit of an insight into the things that we're seeing. For those of you, again, that have got jobs and are in good employment situations, hang on to those and be appreciative of what you've got. There's a lot of people in a worse situation than you. So yeah, I just want to recommend that you be happy and thankful for the job you have, and appreciate it, having a good employment situation, and hang on to that as long as you can. Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you. Would like to give a shout out to Catherine Gutierrez, and also thanks to Raymond Perida, who joined Eric's video. So we have the overlook of what is happening in the farm. It's really cool, and we salute you guys. And also shout out to my family in the Philippines. Hi, Ma. And yeah, so thank you guys. And we want to have an important announcement. Our Facebook Live will be every Thursday instead of Friday. So we will give way for some of the clients and candidates who have prior appointments. So just make sure that you tune in Thursday, and then we'll give you the immigration advice. Any last words, Min, or want to greet anyone from the Philippines?
Yes, I just want to say hello to our office manager in Bukidnon. She's been very helpful, Jing Lalanan. I want to say hello to those who joined us tonight, Diana, John Ray, we've got Jiver John, and a few others. Yeah, good to see you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, and hope you guys gain too much information with us. If you want to visit us, don't hesitate to message one of our pastoral care team, Eric and Mark and me. We're always live. I mean, we're always active on Facebook, and just have an appointment. Happy weekend, and thank you so much for tuning in. Bye, guys.